we're now crossed into Ohio, and basically we're in Cincinnati, and this is where I grew up. Now, I didn't grow up in Cincinnati. I grew up out east of Cincinnati a little ways, and we're going to go not too far from where I literally grew up. The beginning of this part of Ohio is all, like I was saying, is basically Cincinnati. So there are some towns. US 50 goes on the bottom part of Cincinnati along the river. So that's cool. It'll be a nice little scenic drive through some communities that used to be like their own separate communities, and now it's just kind of engulfed by Cincinnati. So we'll kind of show you where those communities are and if they have anything kind of interesting, old historical, buildings to look at as we cruise through quickly. And then we're going to hit downtown Cincinnati, and I'm going to just go right through it. And I'm not going to stop and do a lot of, filming there, because there's tons of videos about Cincinnati. I'm not going to show you anything that, that another way better YouTuber could show you. And I actually did a couple videos about Cincinnati area previously too. Did a drone video, little WKRP in Cincinnati, if you like that song.
Wondered whatever became of me. I'm living on the air in Cincinnati. Cincinnati, WKRP.
So if you want to see the city, that's cool. And then I did some driving along the river on the Kentucky side. So if you're interested in any of that, I have done videos about Cincinnati before. But I'm going to head out and get to the eastern side of it as quick as possible. We're going to end the day in Milford. And the reason is because, like I said, I'm from here, so I'm staying with family. And so that's going to be a good stopping point for me. And I'm going to go stay with some family tonight, save some money on the hotels. So yeah, let's get going through Ohio and get through Cincinnati, see if we can find anything interesting. Our path through Ohio starts over here where you see Elizabethtown, and we'll go through a couple of small communities that aren't in necessarily like the greater Cincinnati area, but then as you see as we go along the river, we're pretty much in downtown Cincinnati, so we'll speed through there to try to get through over to the east side, and we're going to end our day in Milford. just like that. There's so many really cool neighborhoods in Cincinnati, but I'm gonna stick to just on US 50 until I get across the other side of Cincinnati. It would take days to get through all these little communities. Very historic, especially the ones right along the river. So it'd be neat to come back and do a deep dive on these communities and what it was like, 100 years ago or more, when they were all kind of separated instead of now just being totally part of Cincinnati. But let's hop back on US 50. I've been on the kind of side main street, which was probably the original US 50 to connect these towns, but we'll hop back over and then we'll shoot through Cincinnati. And we basically made it through Cincinnati, and it's old Milford there. It's a cool little downtown area. Obviously very busy. Most of the places here are. But yeah, that's where we're going to end today. My uncle lives not too far from here, so I'm going to go crash with him, and then we'll pick up tomorrow right here, basically east of Milford, and heading out into more rural areas, which we like. Starting our day back near Milford, kind of east of Milford, heading kind of the rest of Ohio. We're gonna, I think, about half of Ohio, the half of what's left, and then we'll get the next half tomorrow. Gonna be in some more rural areas. Actually going to go through the county that I grew up in and lived for, all the way till I was 18 years old when I went off to college, Brown County. So that'll be fun. We'll go through at least the northern part of that, and hopefully find a couple of historic places between here and halfway through Ohio. So let's go ahead and get started. So we start in Milford, still quite a highly populated area, but pretty quickly we'll get into some more rural areas. And right at the edge here, that's my home county of Brown County, where I grew up. We're going to continue through a few small towns, and our first kind of larger town will be Hillsboro. And you take 62 a little bit south of that down here to the little spot. That's the spot where I grew up on a farm near Winchester, Ohio. I'm enjoying going through some of my old stomping grounds. Played basketball against Fayetteville growing up. They were actually in our conference, the Southern Hills League. And so that's kind of interesting coming through here, looking at it from a different perspective. US 50 is very busy. It's a weekday and there is traffic everywhere. So it's hard to stop and document, mostly going through the towns fairly quickly. It's hard to just pull off or go slow through town because you're going to get run over. Definitely in this part of Ohio, US 50 is still highly traveled. We're about halfway through the day, so we're gonna take a little break here in Hillsboro. This is the county seat of Highland County. It's got a really impressive downtown. Kind of an interesting thing that happened here. Right across the street here somewhere, there used to be a place called the High Street Lounge or something like that, the North High Lounge. So that's High Street that goes that way. And Johnny Paycheck, the famous singer, country western singer, got in an altercation and shot a guy here, and he went to jail for it for a pretty good period of time. And the guy's name was Larry Wise. No relation to me, but I thought that would be interesting here, right down here somewhere in downtown Hillsboro. And yeah, there's the courthouse, I believe. So good place to stop and check it out. Right here is where 50 and 62 intersect. There's 62 coming like towards us. 50 goes, we've been down that way, we're going that way. And 62 goes to Russellville, which is where I went to elementary school, and still have, my brother lives there. And I did a video about Russellville. So it's where these roads interchange. So we're about halfway through the day. We're gonna head down that street right there and on east. here in Hillsboro, Ohio, this is also the last place heading east that you can get Cincinnati-style chili, like Gold Star, Skyline. They have a Gold Star here, so had to stop and get some on the way. So if you don't know about it, Cincinnati chili is used to basically like as a sauce on top of cheese conies. They put it on spaghetti, and you can see how much cheese they pile on. So got 3 cheese conies, and if you're from this area, it's kind of just part of your diet. It's a little bit of an acquired taste if you're not, but once you acquire the taste, it's spectacular. Things really start to open up as we get towards the end of our day. Bainbridge is the pretty much only incorporated town along this way. And as we get up towards the end of the page here, Chillicothe, which is our destination for the day, is just on the other side. What's kind of interesting as you head east in the United States, the towns and communities are older. And if you've been looking at the screen, you know how much older these places are. And it'll keep getting older as we head farther east all the way to the coast. But the towns in the west have like an older feel, I guess you could say. Maybe it's because these towns are too old, where a lot of that stuff they built in those early days isn't around anymore. There's some stuff obviously you're seeing, but similar to maybe what you'd see in the West. And I've heard people talk about, like in the West, it's almost like you're able to see in modern times our history, you know, because it's still there and it's not so old. Like if you went over to England, it's so old, it's hard to see the history because it's gone. You know, there are certainly places that have really old things still there, but it's so common in the West to see, you know, little towns spread out all different places with old buildings and the little history that they had. So it's just interesting as you're heading east how much things are changing. It's more populated, obviously, even in the rural areas. Like we're getting into the less populated areas of Ohio, but there's still more. There's more houses. There's communities every few miles. And I think that'll be the way it is for the most part, especially in Ohio. West Virginia might be a little different, but I think the rest of the way it'll certainly be that way. But it's very pretty. It's starting to get a little hillier, and it's very green, and it's cool. You know, I'm from, like I said a few times, I'm from not too far from here. So cool to see these towns in a different perspective. Thanks for making it all the way to the end of that video. And now that you're here, let me tell you a little bit about some of the extras that we have on the channel. One of the things you can do is you can become a member. There's 3 levels. There's the supporter level, there's the producer level, and the executive producer level. And all 3 levels have different perks, and as you are more supportive financially, there's more perks. We have extra videos every week and a lot of fun stuff going on in the member section. If you haven't done so, make sure you check out travelwithawiseguy.com. We've got lots of extra stuff on there, and one of the things is merchandise. You can get you Travel with a Wise Guy t-shirt. We have Death Go Round t-shirts. We have some coffee mugs, different things that are a lot of fun, and people seem to have enjoyed. Good quality there. Also on the website, you can do things like check out the Google map. I have a pin dropped in every place I've done videos about, then a link to the video so you can look at the map, and maybe there's somewhere where you live or somewhere you want to go. You can check out that map, and it seemed to be a very popular thing. You can sign up for my newsletter. I do that about every 3 weeks. It's totally free. And there's also all kinds of other links and tidbits in there, old videos, podcasts, just everything I could think of I throw on the website. So make sure you check out travelwithawiseguy.com.